Danny told Zack how he survived by wearing body armor and fake blood. He offered Zack medicine in exchange for gouging Ray's eyes, but Zack refused. Danny left. Ray found Zack's knife in a makeshift bedroom. She realized that she still didn't know much about him. The priest questioned Ray's motives and called her a selfish witch. He also demeaned her belief in God. Ray was distressed and fled. She reunited with Zack and they decided to follow Danny's trail of blood to get medicine. Along the way, Zack had to fight off a giant snake. He was weakened by the fight. Ray gathered her courage and decided to chase after Danny alone. Zack gave her his knife for protection. Ray encountered Gray, who revealed that he had taken the medicine that Danny was carrying. The scene changed to a courtroom where Gray presided as judge over a witch trial to determine Ray's identity. The hallucinations of Danny, Eddie, and Kathy testified against her. Kathy said that Ray was hiding a lying heart beneath her calm facade. Eddie said that Ray was selfish. Danny said that Ray had a corrupted soul that was beyond saving. Based on the testimonies against her, Gray declared Ray a witch and sentenced her to be burned at the stake. As Ray was about to burn in the fire, she thought about her relationship with Zack and realized that he was her god. He had always been there for her and saved her when she needed it most. She cut herself with his knife and returned to the present. She deduced that Gray had been using drugs to create illusions on his floor. She threatened Gray to give her the medicine, which she used to stop the bleeding, disinfect the wound, and stitch it up. She told Gray that he was her god. As they proceeded to the final floor B1, Zack revealed that his mother's lover set him on fire, which resulted in him sustaining burns all over his body. His mother then sold him to an illegal orphanage that trafficked children. Ray wanted to tell him a secret of hers, but she was afraid that he would hate her for lying to him all this time. The elevator finally stopped at B1, a dimly lit house with gray furnishings. Zack entered a room filled with fake flowers and the corpses of a couple stitched together. Ray became hysterical and begged him to kill her. Danny arrived and locked Zack out of the room. He offered to unlock it if Zack explored the floor and found out Ray's past. Zack reluctantly agreed and fought his way through various death traps. He fell into a hole filled with sharp spikes, but was saved by Gray. Gray explained that he controlled the building as an experimental facility to study and observe those who claimed to believe in God. He said that those placed in B7 were sacrifices to be judged by the angels on each floor. He decided to help Zack because he was interested in their relationship. He gave Zack a clue on how to proceed and allowed him to enter Ray's room. A recorded news report detailed the murders of Mr. and Mrs. Gardner. Their bodies had been mutilated with bullet and knife wounds and were stitched together. Ray was found unharmed even though a week had passed after their deaths. This implied that she had murdered them. Zack watched a recording of Ray's interview with Danny. Ray revealed that her parents were abusive and killed each other. She stitched their bodies together and lived with them until the police arrived. Danny told Ray that his mother committed suicide because he was born missing an eye. He became obsessed with Ray because her eyes resembled his mother's. Zack was angry and disgusted. He stormed back to Ray and Danny and revealed that he knew Ray was the angel of B1. He also knew that she was sent to B7 after finding faith in God. Zack was angry that Ray lied to him and said that he was not her god. Ray was disillusioned and shot Zack, but missed. She fled and lured Zack through traps until he cornered her in the last room. Zack asked Ray if she intended to kill him when Danny arrived and held him at gunpoint. Cornered by the two of them, Ray calmly drew her gun and fired. Ray shot Danny, claiming that Zack was hers to kill. However, she was conflicted because she had lost her faith in God and didn't know if anyone would forgive her for her crimes. Zack reminded her that he was the one who made the promise to kill her, not her god. The two of them swore to each other again and continued on their way out. Ray knew every nook and cranny of the building, but she didn't know where the exit was on B1. She deduced that it must be on B2 because her floor was the last to be built, and no one ever came down from above. On the way to reactivate the elevator, Ray encountered Gray. He questioned her intentions and her identity, but she told him that she had accepted herself and would take responsibility for her own actions and choices. Gray was satisfied with her answer and gave her a hint that the exit was behind the huge stained glass window on his floor. When Ray and Zack reunited, they tried to find Ray's gun, but they realized that Danny's body was missing again, and Ray's gun had been destroyed. They warily returned to B2, where Zack smashed through the stained glass window to reveal a long flight of stairs leading to the surface. Just then, the building's self-destruct sequence was initiated. As the facility began to burn and collapse, Ray and Zack fled up the stairs. Their way was blocked by steel bars, but Zack managed to break through them, despite his fear of fire. They finally reached the top floor, where Ray asked Zack if he still wanted to kill her. Zack reaffirmed his promise, but Danny arrived and shot Ray in the back. He revealed that he was the one who activated the self-destruct sequence and held Zack at gunpoint, so he would have to live with the knowledge that he couldn't fulfill his promise. Ray assured Zack that she didn't care if their vow was fulfilled or not, only that the vow was made in the first place. She said that she would carry the burden of their vow, so Zack didn't need to think of himself as a liar. Danny, jealous of Ray's affection for Zack, shot Ray again and prepared to kill Zack. However, Gray disabled him with a crossbow and ordered Zack to leave through the exit. He assured Zack that there was still a chance to save Ray. Zack picked up Ray's body and headed for the door, with Danny still pointing his gun at his back. Gray shot Danny to prevent him from shooting Zack. As Zack carried Ray through the exit, Gray had a final conversation with Danny, revealing that he was fascinated by how Ray and Zack had changed each other. He also said that he had come to realize that everyone is human, both flawed and beautiful. The building then collapsed, presumably killing both Danny and Gray. Zack was able to reach the surface, just as the police arrived to investigate the building collapse. He surrendered to the police, so Ray could be taken to a hospital. After recovering from her wounds, Ray was taken to a mental care facility where the staff attempted to rehabilitate her, but with limited success. Zack was found guilty of his murder spree, as well as killing Ray's parents and kidnapping her. He was sentenced to death. However, shortly after hearing the news, Zack escaped from prison and broke into Ray's room to fulfill their oath. As they both leapt out of the window to escape, Ray once again pleaded for Zack to kill her. Zack reaffirmed his promise by telling her to stop crying and smile. By the time the police arrived, the room was already empty, with a splatter of blood on the windowsill and Zack's knife on the floor.
I hope you liked the recap. If so, don't forget to subscribe and like it.